Okay, here's part two. And now in part two, what we're doing is we're looking at some of the things that the software that's in the marketplace is actually focused on. And these are the main categories of focus. We have business intelligence, which is more of the analytics. How can we improve our supply chain performance? Supply chain execution facilitates the execution of whatever we're doing, shipping, receiving, inventory management. We have supply chain event management, exception-based warnings that we will see and we'll react to. And then supply chain planning, just this is a bunch of coordinating. We're coordinating the efforts of our buying department with our manufacturing department. Okay, now we're going to look at each of those things a little bit more in detail. When we talk about planning, what we're doing is we're trying to coordinate all the various parts of the supply chain so that we can meet our customers' demand well, right? And we can actually say we're going to set a service level. And a service level of 100% is usually unrealistic and costs too much. So we usually say something like 97%. So anytime a customer comes in, there's a 97% chance that the part or whatever they want to buy, the service is available to them. So we do this with forecasts. We know the forecasts are not going to be accurate, but usually if we use the computer software that we have available to us, we know statistically how inaccurate it's going to be. And then we can use that forecast to say, okay, in the next 3 months, this is what we're going to be selling. In the next month, this is what we're going to be selling. In the next 2 weeks, this is what we're going to be selling. And we take that information and push it down the supply chain. So if we know what we're going to be selling, then we know how many finished goods we need to produce. So we take that to our manufacturing group and say, you need to make this much to meet the sales requirements that we have. And if they have that, so we know how much we're going to manufacture, then we can look at our inventory levels and say, do we have enough inventory to support that manufacturing plan? If we don't, and we usually don't, then we go to our buyers and say, buyers, we need more inventory so we can manufacture what we need to manufacture, so we can sell what we need to sell. And all of that takes place in before we're selling, right? In weeks and months ahead of time, and that's our planning process. The execution process is happening in the here and now. When I'm actually making that sales order, in the olden times or whatever, I might have to fill out a sales slip and take the credit card over the phone. Now it can be very automated. I already have their credit cards. We have a contract with them. The computer, the software program keeps track of the contract, keeps track of their discounts, keeps track of all of that stuff, right? So when I'm making the sale, it goes through really quickly. When I'm producing a goods or services, as it's going through the production process, quality checks are taking place whenever they're designed to take place. As soon as that finished good hits the shelf, our customer service guys know, hey, we have one more available to sell. All that's happening in the execution mode. When I'm making a purchase order, the software helps me do that. So when I'm making it off contract. That's what the execution part is. So my take on event management is a little different than the book's take. So in the book it says supply chain event management tools collect data in real time from multiple sources across supply chain and convert them into information that gives business managers a clear picture of how their supply chain is performing. For me, yeah, okay, but it does more for me than that. What happens a lot is we'll have, like I talked before in the planning stages, we have all these sales planned out, we have a manufacturing plan figured out, and we're executing according to that plan. We have already got all the inventory we need for today or for tomorrow or for this week for our manufacturing. And then we're starting to do some inventory cycle counts. And when we're doing our inventory counts, we find out that we're half off. Or as we're manufacturing, we find out that one of our drills is bad and we just messed up half of our manufacturing process. So we have to manufacture half as much again. And also we don't have inventory. Well, what event management does for us is it warns us. Like all of a sudden my lights go from green to red saying this inventory is going to stock out within the next 2 days. And if I'm a buyer, I have a board that I look at 2 or 3 times a day. Whenever I see a red light, I'm like, oh crap, I need to get on the phone with somebody. That means I have to expedite some parts in, if I can. And if I can't, I got to go ahead and tell the people in manufacturing that the parts won't be in for another week or however long it's going to be. So what event management is we're talking again in the real time, but what do we need to take care of right now in real time to give us the best possible chance of meeting our customer service levels? So that's event management. Business intelligence. Business intelligence is taking off. It's highly competitive. Local Adobe shop, one of their biggest offerings is business intelligence services, especially marketing business intelligence. So business intelligence is taking all this data and what do we do with it? So we're taking this data and figuring out patterns or we're finding ways to streamline our supply chain and add better value to our customer in a very proactive manner. So we're proactively monitoring our traffic to our websites, our sales at all of our retail outlets, and trying to make better forecasts. That's part of business intelligence. We're looking at inventory turns and seeing how long the inventory is turning on the shelf or staying on the shelf, and if we can improve those turns without reducing our customer service levels, then we're going to save money, and our business intelligence piece will help us do that. Now, the business intelligence piece is usually hooked up to almost every other part of the supply chain software. So even if it's not homegrown into the software, it didn't come with whatever software we're using for planning and for execution, usually our business intelligence software has some sort of connection to those so it can gather data information from those. We can also use it when we're doing supply chain collaboration. And again, that's why it's connected to all those other parts of the supply chain software tools, because we do a lot of internal collaboration. We make sure we are supporting sales and marketing, and we're supporting and manufacturing. So when I say we, I'm talking from a buyer standpoint or a transportation standpoint. The idea is that we're trying to support all these different functions, and that supply chain collaboration tool helps us communicate effectively with the different functions within the supply chain. It also helps us communicate up the supply chain to our customers and down the supply chain to our suppliers and our suppliers' suppliers. The data synchronization helps us aggregate all the information we have throughout the supply chain so we're all on the same page. In other words, if I'm selling this part throughout the United States, I want to make sure that I'm selling it for the same price. And that's one of the things that data synchronization tools helps us do. Spreadsheets and database software, again, related to business intelligence. We have a lot of data. A lot of systems are very good about taking that data and putting them in spreadsheets so we don't have to manually do that. I have manually extracted data from a very comprehensive database and put it in spreadsheets, and they just didn't pay me enough to do that. Okay, if you are going to be telling people that you've taken a supply chain course, you need to know what an ERP system is. From my perspective, this has been my bread and butter for the last 10 years, maybe 12 years. It's helping people implement an ERP system called SAP. ERP systems are supposed to be enterprise resource planning systems. They're supposed to be comprehensive. So SAP has a customer service module, it has inventory modules, it has quality modules, it has buying modules, it has HR modules, plant maintenance modules, manufacturing modules, it has manufacturing engineering system modules. Almost everything that you can think of that we might need a computer system to help us with in a manufacturing or company type of situation, accounting, finance, all of that will be incorporated into an ERP system. Now, one of the reasons why they're becoming more and more popular is that integration. When we talked about how all these things need to talk to each other, that's what an ERP system is trying to do. One of the problems with an ERP system is that I have all these different modules that talk to each other, and that coordination, that communication, and that sharing of data is exceptional. One of the things that we found is that in most ERP systems, they're good at everything, but they're not exceptional at anything. So it's a little bit more vanilla. So if you really want a good forecasting system, well, SAP has a forecasting system. It's not really good, but it's decent. You make some sacrifices. If you have a forecasting system that is really working well for you, one of the great things about most ERP systems is that you can set up a way that it can communicate to SAP or whatever ERP systems you're using. SAP's a big one, Microsoft Dynamics is a big one, Oracle's a big one. Those are the three main huge ERP systems that companies are running or large companies are running at least. Anyway, this slide is just too small for what it captures. We're trying to look at how do we go about deciding what supply chain software we need to implement. And the first step is the need assessment. What are we trying to accomplish with the new software tool or package? So we're looking what do we hope to gain? What's the gap between how our current performance is and what our future performance, what we want it to look like? Sometimes this comes up where maybe a manager goes to a software convention and he's doing some benchmarking, asking friends, well, how do you do this? How do you do this? Oh, this is easy. We're doing this. And he's like, wow, we could really use that. So he comes back and says, oh, we really need some software to help us do it like this other company. And he might not have a very clear, or she might not have a very clear idea of what they want. So we really start looking at gap analysis. Well, this other company, from what we understand, is doing it this way and it's saving them this money. Here's what we're doing. Here's the gap. Let's verify that that can actually happen, that just wasn't a story, and so forth. Then we go into software selection. Once we've decided, okay, this is what we're going to do, we start developing alternatives. Like there's usually various companies. Like I said, the main ERP systems are Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, and SAP. But there's others. There's a lot of other ERP systems out there. So we need to start looking at them. And if we're a small business, maybe we want to go with a smaller solution so that the people who are helping us might be more in tune to our needs and more attentive in modifying their software solution to help us achieve our goals. The solution packages they're talking about, maybe we'll get more bang for our buck if we do integrated packages like ERP systems. And then we can look at our purchase options. Some of them even allow people to do a web-based type of implementation, so they take care of it all. They take care of all the servers, maintain the ERP system, and they customize web pages for your company to take advantage of that software solution. So you can do that. Some people have lease agreements for software solutions. Anyway, there's a lot of purchasing options out there. Technical issues, a lot of data synchronization and a lot of connecting from your package to my package, making sure that they can talk to each other. Application integration, making sure all of our applications work and that when you're feeding data to our application that it understands the data and can use it. Asking the right questions. So we're going to undergo this huge implementation of, sometimes huge, of a supply chain IT solution. Who's going to be responsible to make sure it gets done and make sure it gets done correctly? Who's going to pay for it? What budget is this coming out of? There's a lot of questions to get some clarity on how the IT implementation is going to go through. And that's what we're saying about asking the right questions. RFID. It's interesting that RFID at one time about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, was thought to be the future of supply chain management. And Walmart was going to put all these RFID tags on their products, and we're going to stop thieves from taking their products out of the store and have all these great things from our RFIDs. Well, it just didn't turn out that well. In other words, we have all these RFID products out there, but they were really hard to connect to material and to pallets. And what we found is RFID is pretty good on trailers. So we can track a trailer going through the United States, or we can track, a train trailer as it crosses the United States. But when we go down to, like that's a macro level. If we go down to a micro level on individual items, unless they're really expensive items, it's usually not worth the RFID code. Now, we are making improvements in the technology, and the more that the technology improves, the more useful it might become. And if we can automate a lot of the placement of the RFID, matching it to the product or the serial number, then maybe that becomes more viable. One of the things that's kind of fun is that in the ski industry, RFIDs are being used widely. So if I buy a ski tag, a season pass, then when I go up to the gate, the RFID reads that pass, knows that I'm a season holder, might even bring up my name or my credentials so they can see my face associated with my pass. Gate opens, off I go skiing. So it's facilitating the season pass holders and their ability to ski and take advantage of the slopes more readily. Cloud computing. Cloud computing is taking data or resources that you normally use or you normally use on your desktop or your laptop and moving those to servers wherever the servers may be, and they could be miles and miles away. It's not really that new of a concept. SAP has been around for a long time, about 20 years, and their technology is based on cloud computing. So what we have is we have a user interface or a graphic user interface on our laptops or our computers, wherever they might be. That graphic user interface is synchronized so it can communicate well with the servers. So if I need to run a data crunch or if I want to do some business analytics on a huge database, if I had to pull all that data onto my computer and then crunch the numbers on my computer, most computers would crash. They just don't have the CPU and memory to handle that kind of stuff. So instead, I send a query to the server, tell the server what I want done, it runs computations there, and then sends me back the information that I'm looking for in the form of a report or an Excel file or whatever it might be. That's the basics of cloud computing. Now, cloud computing has actually gone to the next level, and I mentioned it before. SAP has an offering where I don't have to even run the servers, and IBM will do this for me. They'll have the servers, they'll have SAP on it, they'll set it up and configure it for your business, and then all you have to do is have the GUIs on your system or even load up the web pages appropriately on your system so you can interact through the internet with their servers that you don't even own to get your ERP working for you. One of the problems is if those connections go down, then your business is kind of stuck there until the connection comes back up. Mobile computing, what we're doing there is we're taking advantage of our highly powered tablets, laptops, and cell phones and using those to help manage our supply chain wherever we are. One of the things that when I was working with IBM, one of the pet groups I was working with was gaming or teaching people how to use SAP from their cell phones. So how do we create a game that's engaging to help people learn this ERP system that now they can do that while they're waiting for their flight. So we're trying to take advantage of, well, not only gaming and training and that kind of stuff, but we can actually start logging on to our SAP ERP systems from our phones, checking inventory levels, looking for the event management, those exceptions where I actually have to call a supplier or vendor or call my manufacturing line and say, hey, what's wrong? Why aren't we producing at the quality level that we're supposed to? So it's becoming very, very fluid. It's an exciting time.